principles of microeconomics too. In today's session, we will discuss about market failure. In previous sessions, we have completed that market structure and factor pricing theory, how factor price is determined due to according to the approach of modern theory and classical theory. You know that factor price and commodity price both are very necessary to determine, but we have discussed so many market structure like monopoly, monopolistic competition market, perfect competition market and oligopoly. How market become failure? How we can say that a market is failure market and other market is successful market? What is the criteria to define this thing that how market become failure? So in today's session, we will discuss about market failure. Market failure is a concept in which we will study that which type of market is called successful market and which type of market is known as failure market, and how resources are allocated efficiently or inefficiently. In those markets, when resources are efficiently allocated or distributed, then market will become successful. If market is failure to allocate efficiently all the available resources, then market will become failure. So what are the causes behind this market failure and what are the main reason that in which type of market a market become failure? We will discuss all these things, the meaning of market failure, causes of market failure, and various types of market failure, and how this problem can be solved. So let us start from first topic, market failure, meaning of market failure. What is the meaning of market failure? Market failure generally occurs when the following four factors are present. One is inadequate competition. If there is not proper competition exist in the economy, then market will become failure. Second is inadequate information. If information is not properly available and if we are not aware or consumer are not aware regarding price of the commodity and uh, product of the market which the supplier is supplying, in this case inadequate information or knowledge of supply and demand is unknown by either producer or consumer, in this case market will become failure. Third is resource immobility. We know that resources are not perfectly mobile. Resources are generally for land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. And these resources do not move when market returns are the greatest. So resources are not perfectly mobile, and due to this immobility or imperfect mobility of resources, sometimes market become failure. And fourth reason is externality. Externality means when the action of one person affects the other, that is called externality. Externality is an unintended effect that either benefit or harm someone who was not involved in the activity that caused it. So externality is the main cause of market failure because one person action affects the other, sometimes in a positive way and sometimes in a negative way. So externality may be positive, may be negative, but this is the unintended effect or side effect that either it may be give benefit to the society or it may be harmful for the society, or the person or society who are not involved in the activity that caused it. That is called externality. So, market failure exists when these factors present in the economy. One is inadequate competition, second is inadequate information, third is resource immobility, and fourth is externality. We will discuss in detail all these things. Next is market failure introduction. You know that market failure is a concept in which market become failure when market is not able to achieve his required or his necessary or his fixed goal or any objective. When the production or consumption of a good in the free market is not at the socially optimum level, too much or too little production of or consumption of our goods and services is the cause of market failure. When demand is not equals to supply, then equilibrium can't be achieved. When economy is not in equilibrium position, then there will be disequilibrium exist. When demand and supply both are not equal, then market become failure. So market failure generally occurs in case of production or in case of consumption of a good in a free market when it is not able to achieve socially optimum level. The common examples of market failures are like positive and negative externality. We have discussed that what is externality? Externality is the effect of one person action on the other or the society. It may be the effect of the action of one person, it may be on others, may be positive or may be negative. So externality is generally studied about two things. One is positive externality and second is negative externality. Next is merits and demerits goods. What type of goods are known as merits and demerits? Next is public goods. Public goods are also the main cause of market failure. And damage of the environment. When all country people use resources which are available at free of cost, then it create the problem of tragedy of the commons. And inequality and monopolies are the common examples of market failure. And we will discuss all these points in detail. Next is introduction of market failure. You know that demand and supply both are very important concepts in microeconomics and in whole economy or in whole world, because at present price is determined with the help of demand and supply curve, or it is known as market forces, where demand curve which slopes always downward and supply curve which slopes always upward, where both curve intersect each other, equilibrium price is determined. Demand and forces are strong enough for the efficient and effective allocation of resources. A point of equilibrium is also decided by the intersection of demand curve and supply curve, thus performs a vital function to make a market success. If demand and supply both are equal, both intersect each other, at that point equilibrium is determined and we can determine equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity also. But the mismatch between demand and supply conditions leads to the situation of market failure. So market failure doesn't mean that market is not achieving any profit or market is not achieving anything. It doesn't mean that market is totally failed. When market is not able to achieve its set targets, then we can say that market is failure. If set target is 70, but market is achieving only 40% of its goal, not whole 70%, then we can say that market is failure market. So market failure doesn't mean zero achievement of the goal. It means if market is not able to achieve its full set target, then we can say that market is failure. So if there is a mismatch between demand and supply, it leads to the situation of market failure. Market failure occurs due to inefficient allocation of resources and distortion. If resources are not efficiently allocated, not properly allocated, not distributed among the society equally or efficiently, and if there is any distortion or disturbances occurs, then market will become failure. So due to which government intervention ensure social well-being. If government interfere in market, then we can solve this problem. So government intervention is necessary to solve the problem of market failure. So if government intervention exists in the economy, then we can ensure about the society's well-being or social well-being. So this is the introduction of market failure. If there is a mismatch between demand and supply, then it leads to the situation of market failure. Here, supply is not equals to demand. When supply is not equals to demand, here supply is very less, but demand is very more. Demand is higher, but supply is lower. When supply is not sufficient to fulfill all the requirements or all the demand of the country people, then market will become failure. So this is the main cause of market failure, or if there is any mismatch between demand and supply, then it will be the main cause of market failure. Next is types of market failure. There are so many types of market failure. In case of public goods, market become failure. First of all, we know about what is the meaning of public goods. Public goods are those goods which are provided to whole community people at free of cost. Either they are paying for that or not paying for that, all can use that commodity. That is called public good, which is consumed by whole society people or whole country people in a community way, or whole community is using any product or anything, that is called public good. For example, roads, flyovers, subways, street light, defense, police protection, law and order. These things are known as public goods. If a person is not paying any tax but road is used by all, we can't exclude anyone to use that road or street light or flyovers, bridges, and subways, foot over bridges. We can't exclude anyone to use that thing. So if we can't exclude anyone, and if a person which is not who is not paying anything for that but using that thing, that is called public good. It means public good can be collectively used or collectively consumed by all. Park, is also public good. So goods which are non-rival and non-excludable, for example, police, national defense, park, street light, and roads, bridges, flyovers, subways, etc. These all are known as public goods. When public goods are available in the economy, then we can't exclude anyone to use that thing if either he is paying or not paying. So public goods in this case market become failure because people generally use in a bad way these public goods. For example, in park, people go there and uh, spread there some packets of food packets and wrappers of any product. So public goods in this case market become failure. Next is inequality. Inequality means unfair distribution of resources in a free market. When resources are not equally distributed among the country people, or there is unfair distribution of resources in a free market, then market become failure. Third is monopoly market. Monopoly market is the main cause of market failure because we know that monopoly is that type of market in which only single seller exists, and single seller has full control over price of the product and quantity of the product. And in case of monopoly market, the main goal of single seller is to earn maximum profit, and there is no competition exist in monopoly market. That's why monopoly firm or an industry can increase the price level or can decrease the price level. If monopoly firm main goal is to earn maximum profit, firm will increase the price, and in this case, producer will gain benefits, but consumer will have to bear losses. When consumer surplus fall and producer surplus increases, it will create the problem of deadweight loss. Deadweight loss is the net loss of output or the social cost of monopoly. So when a firm dominates the market and can set higher prices for the achievement of maximum profit, then consumer surplus will fall. In this case, market will become failure or resources are not efficiently allocated because resources are generally called efficiently allocated when consumer surplus and producer surplus both exist. If only producer surplus exists but not consumer surplus, then market will become failure and resources are called inefficient allocated. Next is merit good. Merit good is that good in which people underestimate the benefits of good. For example, education. Education is a merit good, but people don't understand the benefit of the education and they hesitate and they always avoid to study uh, higher studies. So, this is called merit good. Next is factor immobility. You know that factors are immobile, not perfectly mobile. For example, geographical unemployment, where people find it difficult to move to areas of jobs. In India, at present, 70% people are living in rural areas and 30% people are living in urban areas. Sometimes people migrate from rural areas to urban areas for searching jobs, but those persons who are not wish to migrate, they don't want to go anywhere and remain in that particular area where they are living. They are not able to get any job. In this case, factor immobility exists, and factor immobility is also the main cause of market failure. Next is agriculture. Agriculture sector, we know that agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy, and agriculture play very important role in all over the world because agriculture supplies food and food grains and other things which is necessary for survival. But in agriculture sector, here supply remains always inelastic because agriculture is the gamble of monsoon. It depends upon nature and demand increases as well as population increases. But supply depends upon nature. So price always volatile or fluctuate, and fluctuating weather and externality it occurs in case of agriculture sector. That's why it is the main cause of market failure. Next is cyclical instability. Macroeconomy enters sometimes in recession or depression or inflationary situation. It is known as business cycles. Business cycles are wave-like fluctuations. In business, sometimes there is a situation of boom. On the other hand, sometimes firm goes in depression. After that, recovery will start, and then again we will reach at the position of peak. So, boom, recession, depression, and recovery. These are the four stages of business cycles. It occurs time to time. According to Schumpeter, business cycles has four stages, and these cyclical fluctuations create instability at macro level. So, macroeconomy, when enters in recession or experiences in inflationary in boom situation, this cyclical instability is also the main type of. There is a stability, if there is a fixation, and there is no not necessary to move any other where, then we can say that market is successful. But if there is any instability, immobility exist in the economy or inequality exists in the economy, that is the main cause of market failure. Next is externality. Externality means when consuming or producing a good causes a cost or benefit to the third party. That is called externality. Either we are consuming that good or producing any type of commodity which cause a cost or benefit. If it is producing or giving us cost, that is called negative externality. If it is giving us benefit, that is positive externality. So it may be positive, may be negative. Next is demerit good. Demerit good means when people underestimate the cost of a good, that is like smoking. So smoking is a demerit good, education is a merit good, but sometimes people underestimate the cost of a good or the benefit of the good. In this case, market will become failure. So these are the types of market failure. Next is causes of market failure. There are following causes of market failure. One is market imperfection. If market is not perfect or if there is any inefficiency exists in the market, then market will become failure. Next is externality. Next is public goods. And next is asymmetric information. Asymmetric information is known as incomplete information or unequal information. If seller has good information about the product but buyer has not the full information regarding that product, in this case asymmetric information exists, and asymmetric information is the main cause of market failure because seller will sell their product, either it may be lower quality product, but consumer is not aware the quality and price of the product, and if consumer buy that product on the trust of the seller, then it may be create negative effect on the consumer. So in this case, market will become failure. So these are the causes of market failure, and some other causes are also available or exist in the economy, which are the main reason behind this market failure. These are the causes of market failure. One is negative externality. We know that externality is the effect of one person action on the others or third party. Externality may be positive, may be negative. So negative externality generally occurs when pollution. We know that when firms produces goods and services, then environmental pollution or environmental degradation exists. So pollution causes which type of cost? Social cost. Because social cost is that cost which is bear by whole society, not an individual person. So pollution causing the social cost to exceed the private cost. Next is positive externality. Positive externality, for example, education. Education causing the social benefit to exceed the private benefit. And education, we know that education is a merit good and pollution is a demerit good. Pollution is bad for everyone, not good for all, but education is good for all. Next is imperfect information. If imperfect information exists in the economy, like meaning merit goods are underestimate produced and demerit goods are overproduced. If merit goods are less produced and demerit goods are overproduced, in this case, market will become failure. For example, if people are smoking more but getting less education, then in economy, bad thing will produce, bad thing is producing more by the producer and good thing is producing by the producer is less. That will create the problem of market failure. Next is the private sector being unable to supply important public and quasi-public goods, because public goods generally provided at free of cost by the government, because private sector can't provide any type of goods and services at free of cost, because private sector main aim is to earn maximum profit, and private sector can't provide you any goods at free of cost. So in this case, private sector being unable to supply important public goods and quasi public goods, in this case, market will become failure. Next is market dominance by monopolies. If only single seller exists in the economy, then he can charge higher price by the consumer, because there is no competition, no entry of other firms allowed in monopoly market. So in this case, consumer surplus will be less and producer surplus will be more. It will create the problem of inefficient allocation of resources. Due to this inefficiency of allocation of resources, debt loss occur, which is known as social cost of monopoly, and this is also the main cause of market failure. Next is immobility of factors of production. We know that factors of productions are immobile, like land. Land can't be shifted from one place to another place, and without the wish of the, without the interest of the labor, you can't move labor from one place to another place. And capital, in which heavy machines, heavy technologies we take, that can't be possible to shift one place to another place. So due to immobility of factors of production, it causes unemployment and productive inefficiency, which is the cause of market failure. Next is equity or fairness issue. When there is unfair distribution, or if inequality exists in the economy, or if equity or fairness issue resulting in an unacceptable distribution of income and social exclusion, this is also the main cause of market failure. Or we can say that if inequality exists, if inefficiency exists in the market, it will be the main cause of market failure. Next is Market imperfection. This is the main first cause of market failure. What is market imperfection? Market imperfection under market failure can be studied from two aspects. One is monopoly, second is imperfect competition like monopolistic competition. Market imperfection makes higher profit at the expenses of a loss of allocative efficiency. The monopolist will seek to extract a price from consumers above the cost of resources used in making the product. Higher price means that consumer needs and wants are not being satisfied. As the product is being underconsumed, higher price causes a loss of consumer surplus and welfare of the consumer and will disproportionately affect lower income families. So, if monopoly firm charges higher prices from the consumer, then those consumers who are not able to pay that higher price, those consumers who can't afford that commodity at higher price, they will not fully consume that commodity. In this case, higher price will cause a loss of consumer surplus and consumer welfare, and it will create the problem of market failure. In this case, here demand is less elastic and supply is more elastic. Supply curve is more flatter and demand curve is steeper. When demand is steeper or less elastic, then producer can charge higher price from the consumer. In this case, where demand and supply curve intersect each other, here is the competitive equilibrium price P1 is determined and quantity is determined Q1. But in case of monopoly firm or an industry is price maker, so monopoly will charge higher price to earn maximum profit, and if monopoly charge P2 price level, at this price level, quantity demanded by consumer will fall. So in this case, producer will gain surplus, but consumer surplus will fall. So this is the case of imperfect information or imperfect competition. Like in case of monopoly and monopolistic competition market, demand curve remains inelastic and supply remains elastic because single seller has full control over price and quantity of the product. Next is externality. Externality is also the main cause of market failure. Externality in simple term we can define as the effect on others. The effect can be positive as well as negative. The society we live in affect the life of every being. Positive spillover effect is referred as positive externality and negative spillover effect is known as negative externality. Spillover means the effect which is on whole the society or whole the community, not only an individual person. Effect can be harmful as well as beneficial due to consumption or production of goods or services. So externality is the is refers to the effect of one person actions on others. And one person actions on others, this effect may be positive or may be negative. For example, smoking or pollution affects society negatively, and if we make garden and if we are producing that commodity, we are using green technology that will create uh, environment or eco-friendly techniques will not degrade the environment. It will give benefit to the whole society people, so it will create positive externality. So externality may be positive, may be negative, but it is the main cause of market failure. Next is negative externality. How we can define this negative externality? When second individual gets affected due to the act of first individual. Examples of negative externality. For example, a firm is producing goods and excretion of waste in water bodies affect like marine life cycle leading to polluted rivers. A firm is producing goods and services and uh, firm is polluting the rivers and firm is making the garbage or waste material and throw it into the river or in sea, then the marine life cycle leading to polluted rivers, death of fishes, that is the cause of type of negative externality. Passive smoking also results in lung cancer. Noise pollution, loud music affecting children and adults. Air pollution due to construction activities, burning fossil fuel, cars, etc. These are the examples of negative externality. So, in this case, the action of one person affects the other or whole society in a negative way. That's why it is known as negative externality. Next is, it can be illustrated with the help of a diagram. Suppose industry produces goods and incurs cost of rupees 20,000, due to which it affects the life of fishes by excretion of waste in rivers. Therefore, let us say external cost of the cost or the cost of damaging the environment equals to rupees 10,000. Social marginal cost equals to the sum of social sum of marginal private cost and marginal external cost. So social cost or social marginal cost is the sum of private marginal cost and marginal external cost, which is equals to 30,000. 20,000 plus 10,000 is equals to 30,000. The difference between social marginal cost and the private marginal cost is negative externality or the external cost, which leads to market failure, due to which government intervene and impose taxes on industry amounting to rupees 10,000 rupees, which will lead to reduction in the production and shift the equilibrium to even point, thus leading to efficient or effective allocation of resources. It means if any firm is producing goods and creating the environment polluted at a cost of 20,000, this is the social cost of damaging the environment, and the external cost is 10,000. If we add total cost plus external cost, then we can get social marginal cost, because social marginal cost is the summation of marginal private cost and marginal external cost. If government impose taxes with the same amount of 10,000 rupees, then equilibrium will come to the original level, and we can solve this problem of market failure, and resources can be efficiently or effectively allocated. Now this diagram is clearly explain this fact that here demand curve is downward sloping curve, here demand is downward sloping curve, and this is the curve of social marginal cost curve, and this is the private marginal cost curve, where the social marginal cost curve intersects marginal social benefit curve. The point is even, and where the marginal social benefit curve or demand curve intersects private marginal cost curve, equilibrium point is E2 is determined. And in between of this area E1 to E2, the gap which exists in between of E1 and E2 is known as negative externality. And this negative externality is mainly occurs due to the harmful effects of the action of one person on the whole society. So cost curve will be upward sloping and demand curve will be downward sloping. And this demand curve is known as marginal social benefit, where marginal social benefit and marginal um, social cost will be equal. Actual equilibrium is determined at even point. Next is example of negative externality. Like for example, a soap factory creates fumes that are harmful for people in the area. Extra cost to society caused by pollution. Firm will not produce at a socially efficient output level. Here MSB is marginal social benefit curve, which is always downward sloping curve, and marginal social cost curve is upward sloping curve, and marginal private cost is also upward sloping curve, but marginal social cost curve remains always above the marginal private cost curve. So here equilibrium is determined where MSB intersects MSC, P star is the price and Q star is the actual quantity. But if MSB intersects MPC, here price is lower and quantity is higher. But in between the area between MSC, marginal social cost and marginal private cost, the area which lies in between of these two lines, and that is called welfare loss or negative externality. Next is positive externality. Now, what is positive externality? Positive externality is the act of one person. If it gives benefit to the others, that will be called positive externality. Examples of positive externalities are like constructions of schools and colleges. If government construct more schools and colleges for the students, then students will get higher education and easily they can get admission in colleges. When the number of colleges or school increases, all children can get higher education easily, so it will create the positive effects on the others. Parks full of gym equipment. If government establish all parks with full gym equipment, it will also create the positive externality. Good roads, highways, or vaccination provided by government at the time of corona period or corona pandemic. So these are the examples of positive externality. This can be illustrated with the help of diagram. Let us say that vaccination for dengue is provided at a price of rupees 3000, but this can't be afforded by everyone in the society. As a result, not everyone in the society is benefited. Supply will be more, but demand will be less, leading to a condition of market failure. As a result, government need to intervene and provide subsidies to curb the disease, thus lead to social economic welfare. The difference between marginal private benefit and marginal social benefit is the amount of subsidy which is to be provided by the government. So at the time of positive externality, government provides subsidies. But at the time of negative externality, government impose taxes. So if government intervene in the market, then market government can solve the problem of negative externality and the effect of positive externality. So government intervention is necessary to solve the problem of externality, which is the main cause of market failure, and we can reach at the equilibrium point with the help of government intervention. Its diagram is, this is the diagram of positive externality. Here marginal private benefit curve is downward sloping curve. Marginal social benefit curve is also downward sloping curve, but it will remains always above the marginal private benefit curve. Marginal private cost curve is upward sloping curve. We know that cost curve is upward sloping curve and benefit curve is always downward sloping curve. Now, equilibrium point even is determined where marginal private cost and marginal private benefit curve intersect each other, where marginal cost and marginal private benefit curve intersect each other. At E2 point is the equilibrium point is determined. If marginal social benefit curve intersects marginal private cost curve, that equilibrium point is even, and the gap between E1 and E2 is known as subsidy or positive externality. So in case of positive externality, government will provide subsidy, and in case of negative externality, government will impose taxes on producers to stop the effect of, to remove the effect of negative externality. Next is, on y-axis we will always take cost and benefit, and on x-axis output. Next is public goods. Public goods are also the main cause of market failure. Public goods are those goods which are provided by the government at free of cost, and these things can be used by all without any exclusion, without any excludability. So public goods display the characteristics features of non-excludability and non-rivalries. These goods are known as, these are the two main features of public goods. One is non-excludable, second is non-rivalry. So a good or services is called excludable if it is possible to prevent people or consumers who have not paid for it from having access to it. By comparison, a good or service is non-excludable if non-paying consumers can't be prevented from accessing it. If all can use, you can't exclude anyone to use that commodity. That is called public goods. Second is non-rivalries. A good is said to be rivalries or a rival if its consumption by one consumer prevents simultaneous consumption by the other consumers, or if the consumption by one party reduces the ability of another party to consume it. That type of good is known as rivalries. But a good or service which is known as non-rival, it means the consumption of one does not reduce the consumption of the other. So if you are paying for that commodity, then you can only consume that commodity. If you have a car, only you can use that car, not the whole society use your car. That is rivalry goods. But if public transport which is used by all, you can't exclude anyone to use public transport. That is the example of non-rivalry goods. Next is public goods. In this case, how market become failure. Some markets can fail due to the nature of the goods being exchanged. For example, some goods can display the attributes of public goods of common goods, because public goods are common goods which are commonly used by all, wherein sellers are unable to exclude non-buyers from using a product. As in the development of inventions that may spread freely over revealed, such as developing a new methods of harvesting, this can cause underinvestment because developers can't capture enough of the benefit from the success uh, to make the development efforts worthwhile. This can also lead to resources depletion in the case of common pool resources. Common pool resources means common pool resources create the problem of tragedy of commons, and where because use of the all resources used by all and resources which is commonly used by all, you can't exclude, you can't make it rivalries. There is no incentive for user to conserve the resources. An example of this is a lake with a natural supply of fish. If people catch the fish faster than the fish can reproduce, then the fish population will dwindle until there are no fish left for future generations. The free rider problem is a type of market failure which arises in case of public goods, which occurs when those who benefit from resources, public goods like public roads or hospitals or services of a communal nature, do not pay for them or underpay. Free rider are a problem because while not paying for the good either directly through fees or toll tax or indirectly through taxes, they may continue to access or use it. Thus, the good may be underproduced or overused or degraded. So, it will create the problem of market failure. Next is asymmetric information. Asymmetric information is also the main cause of market failure. Asymmetric means incomplete or unequal. If incomplete information is available in the market, it will be the cause of market failure. Asymmetric information means that one party has more or better information than the other when making decisions and transactions. The imperfect information causes an imbalance of power. For example, when you're trying to negotiate your salary, you will not know the maximum your employer is willing to pay, and your employer will not know the minimum you will be willing to accept. Accurate information is essential for the sound economic decisions. When a market experiences an imbalance, it can lead to market failure. So, asymmetric information starts the downward economic spiral for a firm. A lack of equal information causes economic imbalances that results in adverse selection and moral hazards. Adverse selection means adverse selection is a term used in economics that refers to a process in which undesired results occur or the result which occurs that is not desirable by consumer when buyers and sellers have access to different or imperfect information. The uneven knowledge or unequal knowledge causes the price and quantity of the goods and services in a market to shift. This results in bad product or services being selected. For example, if a bank set one price for all of its checking account customers, it runs the risk of being adversely affected by its low balance and high activity customers. The individual price would generate a low profit for the bank. So, adverse selection problem generally occur when there in a market all types of goods are provided by the producer for sale, like a good thing and bad thing. If good product and bad quality product both are available in the market, then seller has complete information regarding their product, but buyer don't have complete information regarding that product. And if buyer select bad product for available at a lower price due to the lower price of that product, in this case buyer has not complete information regarding the quality of the product, and if both the products are available in the market and the selection of buyer by the bad product is done, that is called adverse selection. And adverse selection is also the main cause of market failure. Next is asymmetric information. Asymmetric information is that information in which we don't have complete information, and this problem can be solved by market signaling. The problem of adverse selection can be reduced or can be eliminated by the use of market signaling, where the producer gives signals about better quality of the product to buyers, thereby preventing the outflow of such goods. Thus, the buyer and seller able to differentiate between good product and bad quality product, and it gives sellers to advantage as they are able to sell high quality product at higher price. Branding, warranties helps the buyer in reducing suspicion that buyer has about the product. So market signaling is the main thing which can be reduced or eliminate the use of this market failure problem. Next is moral hazard and market failure. What is moral hazard? In addition to adverse selection, moral hazards are also a result of incomplete or asymmetric information. A moral hazard is a situation when one party can't observe the action of the other. If one can't observe the action of the other, in this case, moral hazard problem arises. Moral hazard is a situation where a party will take risk because the cost that could incur will not be felt by the other party taking the risk. A moral hazard can occur when the action of one party can't change to the detriment of another after a financial transaction. In relation to asymmetric information, moral hazard may occur if one party is insulated from risk and has more information about its action and intentions than the party paying for the negative consequences of the risk. For example, moral hazard problem mainly occurs in employment relationship involving employees and management. When a firm can't observe all of the actions of the employees and managers, that is the chance that careless and selfish decisions making will occur, and it will also the main cause of market failure. Next is asymmetric information. In this case, a principal agent problem also arises. What is principal agent problem? The principal agent problem occurs when one person is allowed to make decisions on behalf of the another person. Here, principal means the owner of the company, and agent means the employee of the company. Owner always want to increase the prestige and goodwill or benefits of the firm, and manager or employee always want to increase their self benefits. So in this case, principal agent problem arises. Principal agent problem generally occurs when one person is allowed to make decisions on behalf of the other person. In this situation, there are issues of moral hazards and conflicts of interest. The agent usually does not know how the agent will act. The consequences is the principal agent problem. The consequences is that the principal does not know how the agent will act. Also, the principal cannot always ensure that the agent act in the principal's best interest. To solve this problem, two methods can be used by the owner of the company. One is golden parachutes or to provide incentives to the employees, and next is target based job. At present, to solve this principal agent problem, mainly target based jobs are provided by the employers to employees. And golden parachute means benefits. When firm provided benefits to the employees to do more work and to motivate for doing more efforts for the company's benefit, that is the main solution of this principal agent problem. Now, in today's session, we have discussed about what is the meaning of market failure and what are the main types of market failure and what are the main causes of market failure. So, we can conclude from today's session that market failure is generally occur when there is a mismatch between demand and supply. The remaining part of this topic of market failure we will discuss in next session. Thank you.